Data log of Celian First Contact, 2667. Star Runner 4311. Pilot J. Kurt and Cam Farron. Jay settled into his seat as it swiveled him to face the cockpit and secured itself. He brought up a holographic display and selected some buttons on a related display, and the image changed to that of their destination. Draxis system. It's a single-star system with 4 planets. The closest to the sun, Veru, is inhospitable, but had a large following of miners that scoured its numerous cave systems. Then Gala, a gas giant with 3 moons that each houses separate research facilities. Draxis, the main colony with its small moon. And finally, Drona. Another planet similar to Veru is used primarily as a mining colony. He scanned the holo display and set a course for Mantis Station. It was the largest station that orbited Draxis and was the center of trade in the system. That was his destination and his only source to get word to the Republic about an impending attack. His travel time was just a little over an hour, but his anxiety aided him. It was a wonder he was able to sleep at all. He did pre-operational checks on all his systems and occasionally rerouted power to regenerate his lost shields. When everything was fine for the time being, he just stared off into space. Just a few minutes before they exited the jump, Jay woke Cam. They entered their seats and prepared to exit. With a flash, they were met with the same familiar void, but this time both sighed in relief. "Oh, thank God," Cam voiced. "Normal comms traffic." That brought reassurance to Jay as he maneuvered himself for a slipstream jump. Slipstream was different from normal slipspace in it that slipspace was used for inter-system travel, while stream was only ever utilized for intra-system travel. With ships as small as his, that's all it could allow. Newer models of ships allowed slipspace jumps in the system, but that needed heavier computational power, so such a function was only available to ships larger than medium frigates. He didn't mind it. From where he entered from, a stream jump would only take about 10 minutes. As such, he oriented his ship to align with Mantis Station's nav beacon. When his engine was spooled, he jumped. Upon approach to the station, Jay finally made contact with the station, although it was only automated. "Please proceed to your designated landing pad," the voice said in a feminine sway, and the beacon popped up on his HUD for his landing zone. The landing pad was an exposed deck with a nearby airlock and blinking lights to indicate the area where he could land. When he made his way above it, he issued an auto-land command with a press of a button. The ship oriented itself and landed without issue. Jay readied his helmet and motioned for Cam to do the same, to which Cam nodded. "I'm going to stay with the ship," he said. "I just got a feeling," and handed the drive in question to Jay. Jay nodded and opened the hatch. He had in place a second-generation air shield, so there wasn't a need for Cam to don his helmet. However, just to be cautious, he was quick in his egress and promptly sealed the door. He tapped his wrist-mounted device and spoke, "Keep the ship warm and call for a refuel order. I'll see if I can see the liaison." "Got it," Cam replied, and Jay made his way into the airlock. When the airlock cycled and opened into the main foray, he was met with a bustling station. He entered the station and made his way to security. On his way, he stopped by one of the local food shops. "Welcome. How may I help you?" the clerk asked. He was an older gentleman with a belly that could barely be hidden by his issued apron. Jay pointed and a sealed burrito and motioned for 2. "Of course. That'll be 13 credits." Jay quietly transferred the funds and continued on his way. He found a seat nearby one of the windows, removed his helmet, and began eating the first burrito. As people passed by, he heard inklings of their conversation. "Have you been able to contact your cousin and Dima yet?" "No. They might be doing repairs on the relay. You would have thought they'd have issued some kind of notice." Jay's heart sank. He could very well reveal to them the state of the Dima colony, but what would that accomplish? It would either incite panic, or they would just label him a madman. He couldn't do that to them, but he also couldn't let whatever happened to Dima happen to Draxis. Draxis has a larger population than Dima did, since it was new, so it's possible that they might have a chance. Or so he wished. He wolfed down the rest of his food and continued towards security with a renewed vigor in his step. "How may I be of assistance?" The female clerk beckoned. "I need to speed with a Republic Stellar Command liaison now, please," he said. She began tapping away on her computer before she spoke again. "First, I need a name and reason for your appointment." "J. Kurt," he said as she typed away. "And the reason is confidential. Liaison's eyes only," he responded sternly, trying to impose urgency. She looked at him and stated, "Sir, if it is urgent, then I need to know. I'm sure the Draxis militia can handle a few pirate—" "It's not pirates, okay?" The moment he raised his voice, the guards that waited by the doors slowly made their way toward him. "Look, sir, I can't help if you do not tell me exactly what you need," she calmly ordered. Jay collected his composure and restated, "Look, Dima Colony was attacked. Not by pirates, not by rogues, I don't know. They weren't human." She raised an eyebrow at his request. "Very well, let me call for him." She tried to call using a handheld device. "Huh, that's weird. The call's not going through," she said. "Let me fetch him. He should be on his break." Before departing, Jay called out to her. "By the way, where's the nearest fleet?" She paused a moment. "Alameda." She left and the guard stood by the door. As each second went by, his anxiety soared. It was thus that his fear became reality. The station rocked violently, and the luminescent lights turned from white to red, and the alarms began ringing out. "Alert, alert, damage to station relay, enemy combatants inbound, alert, alert." Another explosion rocked the station, and Jay ran out from the security office, data drive in tow. Panic was set, and the residents of the station ran in all directions. Some tripped over themselves and over others to try and get to safety. Jay tried to hail Cam, but the call didn't go through. As he ran, he looked out the station's innumerable planes of multi-layered glass and saw what unfolded outside. He noticed a small cluster of ships between him and the moon. It was large enough to view the silhouettes from the station. Immediately by the station, however, a battle raged on with station forces and militia against an unknown aggressor. From the get-go, the battle was disorganized, while the enemy maintained a state of orderliness. Station sentry guns assisted in the fray and promptly weakened the few that got too close. Those unlucky ships were bathed in flames and rested as metal coffins for the occupant. He was glad to see the bastards get vaporized, but his joy was short-lived. As the enemy withdrew, several bursts of plasma peppered another section of the station. He ran. He fastened his helmet and continued running. Shots periodically missed their mark, but the ones that did deliver a jaw-shattering shock to the station. Each moment, he tried contacting Cam, and each attempt failed. Running, he peered out the window and noticed his ship still in one piece and a frantic comm in the pilot's seat. They saw each other, and he ran even faster, not knowing when the next volley would land. He entered the airlock and waited. The cycling felt like ages, but when it finally signaled that it was clear, he made a clumsy dash to his ship. He was grounded as long as at least one foot was on the deck. As he got closer, Cam exited the pilot's seat and opened the door wearing his helmet. "Were you able to talk to the fleet?" he asked frantically, as Jay made his way into his seat and Cam followed suit. "No, they didn't listen, and before I could give them the drive, these assholes arrived and blasted half the station to dust," he yelled as he fastened his harness and placed his hands on his ship's throttle and stick. "Where are we headed now?" Cam said, urgently putting on his harness at his station. "Alameda," he said, lifting off the platform and providing max thrust as soon as he was clear of the station. The sun was in his way, so he would have to maneuver to Veru and then correct to a proper just location. As soon as he was clear and past the influence of the sun, he could make his slip space jump. As he flew past, he cycled through the comms channels. He was met with static when a thought struck him from their first encounter. "Cam, switch all bands to Delta and notify all friendly ships." "On it," and he furiously sent his hands into a frenzy. After a moment, the sounds of battle came alive. "What the hell? It works!" one pilot shouted and was followed by several more individuals. "Get the word out, Delta Band only! Encrypt it!" another ordered. Through the change in communication, their forces organized, and they were at a standstill with the enemy. "All right, who was it?" The same pilot from earlier questioned. "Me, sir, Star Runner 4311, Jay Kurt," he replied. "You've done some good work. What do you know about the enemy?" Jay quickly summarized the events in the Dima system and their newfound mission. "I understand," he said solemnly. "Then you boys have no time to lose. Leave this to us." "Yes, sir," Jay replied. "Then if they fight like how you say, then there's no point in running. Not for us," he said with calmness. "Normally I would have signals from this system's relays, but they've all gone dark." Jay and Cam both understood that implication. "You two go now. Send word to Vice Admiral Wolf in Alameda. Tell him Captain Roy sent you." He gave a final farewell. As they departed, The howls of combat from pilots rang out through the intercoms, fates sealed in sudden static during mid-sentence or cry. An encrypted message notified their ship, but it wasn't directed to him. It was a last-ditch cry for reinforcement system-wide for all who could hear it, but was instead met with silence. Nevertheless, Jay set his course for Veru and activated Slipstream. As he and Cam left, so did the cries and howls of his brethren. All that was left were dust and echoes. As Jay approached Veru, silence remained constant. All bands were silent, including Delta. No relays, satellites, or stations reached out to their pleas, his hope for sending another message to nigh hopelessly. "Cam," he said softly, "do you think we'll make it?" Silence engulfed him, but he spoke out, his words choking him. "We have to. We're the only ones who can." Without looking back, Jay nodded, tears forming at the corners of his eyes. He set the course for the outer edge of the system. From his holo display, he had a few more systems to go before reaching Alameda. Jay spooled the slip-space drive core, and once it was set, he entered the ever-entrancing portal to their next destination.
Incoming transmission, Delta Band, Draxis Militia Defense. 2 Draxmil, Mantisec, all avail. From Captain Roy, Jericho D. This message goes to all with combat-capable ships. Enemy forces are present near Mantis Station, requesting fire support and colony evac. The enemy is attacking unprovoked. Initiate militia protocol. Expend all munitions with extreme prejudice. Looping transmission. Source transmission online. Signal lost. Ending transmission.